So you want to bring a touch of nature to your website, but you hit a fork in the road. Do you go with a photo to capture reality or an illustration to capture a feeling? Now, it might seem like a simple choice, but this one decision can totally change how people connect with your brand. So let's dive in and break down when to use which and why it matters so much.
All right, so here it is, the central question: photo or illustration? And listen, this isn't just about what looks pretty. Nope. This is a strategic showdown where your brand's entire personality is really on the line.
And this is exactly why it matters so much. Think about it. Your visuals, they're not just window dressing. They are literally your website's first handshake. In that split second, they're telling your visitors everything about your competence, your honesty, and just the whole vibe of your brand.
All right, in this corner, we have the case for illustration. So when is a drawing actually the smarter choice?
First off, what are we even talking about when we say illustration? Because, it's not just one thing. It's this whole spectrum. You've got these hand-drawn styles that just give you that warm, authentic feel. Then there are the clean, modern vector graphics, super sleek and incredibly adaptable. And all the way at the other end, you've got abstract art that's all about nailing a mood or a conceptual idea.
So this slide, this is basically the strategic playbook for using illustration. Each of these points is a really powerful reason you might go with a drawing instead of a photo. Let's dig into a couple of these, shall we?
I mean, we've all seen it, right? A sea of generic stock photos. A custom illustration, that's your visual signature. It's totally unique to you. An elegant line drawing can whisper sophistication, while a bold, kind of cartoonish one can shout playfulness. It helps you carve out a niche that's instantly memorable. Okay, that's mood and branding. But what about function? Let's say you're trying to explain something really complex, something you can't just, snap a picture of. How do you make that tangible for people?
Well, here's where illustrations really shine. They act like powerful visual metaphors. They can literally filter out all the noise of reality, focus on what's most important, and guide your audience from huh to aha. It just makes those tricky ideas so much easier to get.
Okay, but hold on. That's only half the story. Because sometimes there's just no substitute for the power of a real photograph. So now let's flip the script and see when photography is king.
Yeah, photography's superpower is its direct line to reality. It just screams, this is real, this actually happened. It gives you that tangible proof, that authenticity that an illustration, by its very nature as an interpretation, just can't quite replicate.
So let's put them head to head. Look at this. If your main goal is to convey a really specific, unique mood, illustration is your go-to. But if you need to show authentic, real-world proof, you gotta go with a photo. Explaining the story behind a product, illustration is great, but showing its actual texture, photography wins. See the pattern here? The right choice is always, always tied back to your specific goal.
So, to put it even more simply, prioritize photography anytime seeing is believing is your motto. You're selling a tangible product, showing off a real travel destination, or presenting hard data. The authenticity and credibility of a real photo are just unmatched. Okay, so we've seen the strengths of both sides. Now for the big question, how do you actually choose? Let's walk through a simple framework that'll help you make the right call for your project. All right, so here's the big reveal. There's no single winner here. The best answer is the one that's right for you, for your context. This choice isn't just about picking a pretty picture. It's a strategic decision that has to be rooted in your goals. So how do you figure that out? Well, this 4-part framework is your roadmap. You've got to ask yourself these questions and be really honest with the answers. 1, who am I talking to? 2, what's the soul of my brand? 3, what does this image actually need to do? And 4, what are the technical realities, like load speed? And speaking of technicals, let's just pause for a second on something that is absolutely crucial. It doesn't matter if you pick a photo or an illustration, you have to make sure it's accessible. That means writing good, descriptive alt text for users who might have visual impairments. This isn't just a nice to have, it's about making the web work for everyone. Okay, so we've been talking about this like it's a battle, right? An either or choice. But what if I told you that you might not have to choose at all? Let's talk about a third path, the hybrid approach. That's right, these two worlds don't have to be separate. In fact, they can work together in this really cool symbiotic relationship where each one plays to its strengths and you get something even better. Let me give you a couple of real-world examples so you can see what I mean.
Imagine a national park website, right? It could use these stunning, breathtaking photos for the big landscapes, but then use simple, clear, illustrated icons for the trails and amenities. Or think about a product page that shows the real item in a photo, but uses little illustrated callouts to explain key features. See, best of both worlds. And that's the bottom line, really. When you do this thoughtfully, the sum is so much greater than its parts. You get the real deal authenticity of a photo, plus the amazing clarity of an illustration, all working together on the same page. And that brings everything right back to you and your project. We've looked at the strategy, the trade-offs, and the cool ways they can work together. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Having weighed all of this, how are you going to tell your unique story online and connect with your audience?